Hi everybody, it's time for another edition of Build the Millennium Falcon. This is issue number 45. Now I'm a little bit late doing these. I've not been too well over New Year, and subsequently at the moment still not feeling too great. I've decided to come in from the cold. I've been building models in the shed and it's been a bit damp, a bit cold, not too great, so I've made a bit of space in my study so I can carry on basically while the weather's not so great. Anyway, there we go, so I'll get this all open and we'll see what we're doing this week. One of the parts is missing. You'll see I've already taken a couple of pieces out of the hull plating and they're out in the shed being doing my usual light blocking trick, which I've shown you loads of times. I'm sure you don't want to see that again, so that's it, let's make a start. Okay, for anyone who hasn't been following these videos, that's what I meant by light blocking some of the panels from the next few issues, basically because I'm going to be adding, well, there is some lighting in this model, plus I'm going to be adding additional lighting, so I want to be able to hold it up to the light, and the light should only come through the holes. It shouldn't seep through the plastic plating, because it's supposed to be metal, so you wouldn't see any light seeping through it, which you don't. So that's it. Right, so those are ready for when we use them. And it looks like this is largely just assembly of the, there's a large bit of machinery behind the rear undercarriage or rear landing gear, whatever you want to call it. So that's what I'm going to make a start on now. Okay, this bit's fairly straightforward. It's really just a repeat of what we've done before, but there are a couple of little differences. It makes a point of showing the differences, and then just basically says assemble these just like you did before. So I'm not going to go back to issue 44. I'm just going to use that as my sample and just duplicate it with that. So it's really just the same as usual, but obviously it's cyanoacrylate, usual glue. Can't use polystyrene cement on this. For anyone who's just coming into this, this is all this is a resin kit, so it needs to be used. You need to use super glue or cyanoacrylate to make things stick together. So yeah, just normal stuff. I'm using either a very flat backed pair of cutters or a knife just to clean up my parts and then put them in. So I'll get on with that, and I'll make you aware of anything that is a little bit of a, you know, it's unusual or anything that doesn't go as straightforward as you'd expect. Okay, we have two items that are pretty much identical. There's only a couple of pieces that are very only very minor. Only different in a very minor way. So on to the next one, which I think is going to be this piece, which I think sits at the back of the undercarriage somewhere, and I have a sneaky suspicion these are going to sit either side or something like that. Anyway, I'm not quite sure which way around it is, but we'll find out soon enough. Okay, that pretty much brings us to the end of issue 45. There's not too much to do. Basically we've just made up this second piece here and we've started to detail this. Now I made a couple of mistakes on this. I don't know if it's just because I'm still feeling pretty rough and I'm a bit dozier than usual, I don't know, but basically when you cut these pieces off, it's not obvious at first, but there's a little bit here you need to leave on. I cut it close like that, and I should have cut it there, and the reason I know is because afterwards I spotted there's a little bit there, so I've actually removed a bit that I shouldn't have done on both sides. So I'll probably repair it later by adding a little bit of sprue or something, but I'm hoping it won't be that obvious. The other thing I didn't quite get right is that piece didn't sit properly. I let it sort of self-level, and I shouldn't have done that's the trouble with the instant glue. If you don't get it right very quickly, it sticks on you. As you can see, there's a little gap there shouldn't be. So I made a couple of little errors there, so hopefully by telling you about it, you won't make the same ones. Okay, here's number 46. Here's the next one. So we're going to start on the ventral gun turret, which is going to obviously pretty much complete the bottom section. So yeah, so right, so let's get on, and I'll again, as usual, I'll show you anything that's relevant and show you the progress as I go. Okay, issue 46 is getting interesting because we're basically assembling all the pieces of the hull plating, and we're going to assemble it. Now, I've already gone on ahead and done it, as most of you know, because what I've done is I've light blocked each of these pieces as we go. Now, one thing they do tell you here is to get 4 M6 bolts, 65mm or longer. Now, they're coming with issue 54, so you don't have to do this yet. But I went out and bought some from B&Q. It's very easy to find. They're just M6 bolts. These are actually 100mm, but as long as it's 65. And the reason is so that when we turn it upside down and work on the bottom surface, we can protect this rather delicate mechanism here for the boarding ramp. So this means we can flip it up and we can, it'll have its own little support legs while we're working on it. And equally, if you wind them in through, because these come through, if I can lift it, it's getting quite heavy now, they come through little mounting holes which are going to be used later on. If anyone's going to hang this on the wall, there's a swivel mount that comes in there, that's where it's going to bolt in. So, but we can also, of course, we can screw them in further and make some temporary landing struts out of them, so the thing will sit that way up without this plastic case support frame. I'm not sure if we're going to need this platform for the upper hull or whether there's going to be a different one for it. It's probably very much the same in the early stages, so I would imagine we only change 1 or 2 pieces and then perhaps use the same structure, so this then can stand on the bolts while we're working on the top half. Interestingly, we've got quite a lot of bits for this issue. For this gun turret, we're building the other gun, which is going to need painting. This is interesting. You may remember my rant ages ago about the shocking quality for the glass that goes in the cockpit. Well, looky here, we've got new windows. Now, I'm not sure if it's going to be any better, but let's hope, hey. Hopefully, D'Agostini are listening to us. Anyway, that's it for now. So, so a lot of this, really, we've already done. It's showing you basically to fit the bolts, to give it some support while you can work on it. I've managed to do this, I suppose a lot of us have found a way of doing this, not realising that bit was coming, but and then the rest of it is just basically showing you how to fit all the hull plates in the right order. I'm surprised they don't tell you to light block it. I suppose you could paint it while it's like that, but I didn't want to get paint on the structure. I was trying to be a bit neat about it, so I painted them all first. But so they may ask us to light block later on. I'm really not sure, but I still think that needs doing. So this is the engine bay area here. So yeah, so pretty much I'm all the way on this. So you guys just, if you haven't jumped ahead like I've done, just start putting the pieces on as and when. And then that's what you'll have at the end of it, which is pretty much what I've got here. Let's see if I can do this without putting the camera down. Yeah, you see I can stand it pretty much like that. I've also done a little bit of experiment painting as well, and a little bit of weathering I was playing around with, but that's basically it. So anyway, so I think really there's not too much to show you on this one, as I've already done it. So just follow the instructions, go beast by beast. Now I did notice these do fit in a certain way because they overlap. One overlaps the next, which overlaps the next, so you get a nice seal. So it is important to do it the right way around. Sorry, I'm getting out of breath. Still not feeling too good. So anyway, yes. So if you just get all those up to that stage, and then it looks like we're going to skip pretty much straight to issue 47, which is lots more bits and pieces. It looks like these, we're not actually going to do anything with them yet. It looks like we've just got them for. It looks like we're keeping them for Ron later on. Yeah. So okay. So skipping straight through really. So I'll meet you at issue 47. Hey guys, back again. Issue number 47 of the Build the Millennium Falcon series. Lots more hull detailing by the look of it. This is pretty much where we left off from the end of 46. So we've got some of the detail done for the rear underside. I've got the rest of the hull here. All the plating's on now. I'd done mine earlier, but now they're officially telling us to get on with it, although I'm sure they'd should have shown us it done earlier, so I'm not sure just how much I've skipped ahead, but I do have a tendency to skip, so I apologise in advance. Right then, so see what we're doing on this one. Okay, now this is where I think the bolts, I'm quite glad I've got the bolts done that I put on last week. Yeah, so we're sort of gluing some bits and pieces. Now I'm not going to glue this piece yet, because I want to put some lighting in here. There should be some lighting in here. Some little red LEDs go on here for the landing light. So I'm not going to glue this one up as just yet, but I will follow the other instructions as close as possible, and I'll let you know where I deviate. Okay, well, aside from leaving the concussion missile housing open so I can get some fibre optics in there later, the rest of this is pretty much as I've done it. I've got all these pieces assembled already. So I've just got to do the last half of the rear landing gear housing. So pretty much this is a case of just follow this all the way through until you sort of meet me at the rear housing. That's where I am now. Okay, that's what we should have by the end of page 11 on issue 47. So basically we've fitted the rear landing gear housings, and then we're going to start on some detail here. So basically everything is in place. I'm using these bolts to protect it either way now, so I can lift it like so, and there's enough coming through to act as a little landing gear, and then if I turn it the other way around, they're much larger than the parts of the landing ramp, so they're protected as well. So this is quite a good idea actually. They say get 65mm, M6 by 65. I've gone ahead and got some M6 by 100 or 95 or something, so they're long enough to protect both lower hull when you put it down and inside as well. This thing's really starting to look like the Falcon, you know. Right then, on for the next bit. Okay, we've come to the end of the rear landing gear assembly housing, or housing assembly even. Just bitted these last couple of parts and they're all okay. Just be careful when you put this cross piece in and those, that they do have to snap in, and you need to make sure that you've got these two pieces aligned, because if those aren't aligned then these aren't going to match up properly. And because it's instant glue, if you start to fit it and you can't fit two lugs and the other two or three lugs have already seized or already glued, then you're in trouble. So do a dry fit first, make sure it fits. Right, so now we're on to the landing bay cover panels, like we did at the front ones. I don't know if you remember, they've got little magnets, so they can just be taken off, and then you can just pop them in and they'll just hold themselves in place, and that's what these are for. We've got 8, I think, for the back, 4 on each side. So you've got little pins go into the surface here, and then you've got the little disc magnets are going to glue into the landing pads, into the landing bay housing doors, like you can just see on there. There's 2, 1 on each end, and that's it. Okay, we've got all of the panels done now for the landing gear. Says I did actually lose one of the little bits here inside, so I'm going to have to get a replacement for that. Still holds the panels in place, but it's only actually using 3 magnets instead of 4, and you can see there's a little bit of play there, so I need to resolve that or get another bit of metal that's magnetic and pop it in there. I'm not sure, we'll see. So we're just attaching these last little bits of detail up the side, and that one's going to go into the middle. And that's the last piece. I've dry fitted it, looks like it's okay, so I'm just going to glue it in now. Okay, and that concludes issue 47. So apart from a couple of little mishaps I've had, which I'm a little cross with myself about, it's not too bad otherwise. So yeah. So that's it for 47. I think I've got one more to do, which I shall go and make a start on. That'll be the beginning of issue number 48. I think we start on the top hull then, and anyway, I'll be back shortly. Hi everyone, we're back again, issue number 48 this time of the Build the Millennium Falcon series. All changed by the look of it. We've got some new build platform and some new frames, so I'm probably going to have to find a home for this now, I think, because I've got a sneaky feeling we're going to turn our attention now to the upper hull possibly for a while. So anyway, that's what it looks like, although there's still a lot of bits and pieces still left over, so who knows. Let's see what we're looking at. Okay, so before we get on to the top hull, we're going to finish off the bottom, and this is the ventral turret, the parts which came in issue 46, but we're actually going to assemble them in issue 48. Fairly self-explanatory by the look of it. Touch more assembly than on the first one. The first one was mainly done. This time we're putting the framework in separately. So there we go. So I'll make a start. Looks fairly self-explanatory, but excuse me, I shall let you know if there's anything untoward. Okay, this is just a quick update. I've assembled the top turret here. Sorry, the bottom turret. But I want to light block it before I fit it under here. So I'm just masking it off so that I don't get any paint where I don't want it. I'll basically I just want to prime inside here, and I want to light block it because I know there's going to be lighting in here. But it doesn't want to come through the hole, so I'm just going to mask this off, and then I'll show you how I finish the marking before I go and spray it, and then we can pop this on. That's pretty much the end of the lower hull. Sorry about the noise in the background. What's best to watch when you're building Millennium Falcon than Star Wars? Okay, so that's it. That's the ventral gun turret all masked off. So I want to protect all the outside. I just want to light block the inside. So that's what I've done. I've just stuffed tape right up the inside in there. Sorry, I forgot to turn the film down again. So yeah, I'm just going to go and give it a quick prime and then a bit of silver so it looks like this, and then that can be fitted underneath, and that's pretty much, I think, it for the underside of the hull. And then we can get into the more interesting side of things, a little bit of detailing. So there we go. Right, okay, so that's the gun turret all masked off. We're protected on the outside, but it's all nicely light blocked on the inside. So it needs about another 10 minutes. It's acrylic paint, so it dries very, very quickly, but as soon as it's dry I'll take the tape off and we'll get that in there, and that's pretty much it. Excuse me, struggling with a cough still. Right, I'll get that done and I'll come back to you. Just another little bit that I'm doing just to finish off the end of issue, I think we're at 48. It starts to tell you about some of the detail and gives you some of the Tamiya colour paints. That's from the Tamiya paint colour numbers to get, the XF, etc. And I've basically just doing a little experiment and a little bit of a play. As you may remember, ages ago I did a little bit of experimenting with the weathering and with a couple of coloured panels. There's another red one around there somewhere. So I'm just going to do a couple of these. Now these should be grey. There's a couple of grey panels and some red, and that's these two grey panels here. So I'm just doing some very neat masking at the moment, really trying to tuck it into all the corners, and then tomorrow it's a bit too dark and damp and cold out there to be spraying now, so I'm just putting a little bit of masking on just so I can do a bit of that tomorrow, and just start to get some of the bodywork coloured. I might actually, thinking about it, put some of these on where they're, if you remember I left them off because I was going to be painting the ones where some of them are red underneath the plain actuator, so I might do the ones that don't have paint underneath. I've got some quite good reference material, so I shall have a look at those. But yeah, so I just while I've got some time, really waiting for the next one. I've got some other model builds I need to finish as well, but I just wanted to do a little bit more on this. Now I've made myself a comfy warm place to do it inside. Anyway, that's it. There's going to be lots of other enhancing to do to this. These I've only done roughly. I'm going to take those out and do those again, but I didn't want to paint them grey. I've tried to make them look sort of rusty and mucky basically, and I need to do something. I'm not happy with these scars and strikes. They need to be done again. That's just not going to cut it really, so I'm going to try and do a better job of that. I might actually, as an old trick, get a soldering iron on there and just have a bit of a gouge and a bit of a cut around there, but we'll see. We'll take that one step at a time. Hi there, just doing a little bit more on the underside of the Falcon here. This is at the end of issue 48. We've got to the part now where we can start preparing to do all the shading and the colours underneath. Now I'm using a paint guide from the another model, excuse me, which is the Fine Molds. Oh, I forget which one it is. What is it? The 172 scale. So I'm using that to get the placement of all the grey panels at the moment and some of the red ones. I've put these thrust vector planes on, and some of them I've left off because they need to be painted red underneath, but 3 of them I think. But so there we go. So I've masked this off just the old-fashioned way with masking tape, but I've cut little tiny strips to get into all these little key bits. Some people will just mask straight, but I like to try and paint the panels as you know as they are. Now the colours are basically grey and red. Now what occurred to me is, I don't know if you remember when we used to paint cars years ago, we used to have 2 tins of primer we used to have. One was grey primer, which we still have today, and the other I haven't seen for ages, but it was a red oxide primer. And I think that's pretty much what a lot of these red bits are. I think the idea is, you know, they're panels that have been salvaged from other ships, and the Millennium Falcon's been patched up, and those ships were different colours, and it looks to me like you could say, well, they're just primed, those pieces are just primed but were never painted the proper hull colour. So I'm going to experiment and try that and see what it comes out like. See you later. Okay, right, I've been doing a little bit of panel painting, and I've used a couple of techniques. I've sprayed the grey, and so far I've hand painted the red. The reason being, I'd put the wrong one of these on and I needed to paint underneath it, so that needs a bit of cleaning up. But the thrust vector plane thing wanted to be over the top, so hopefully with that one it'll look a bit better. I may still go back and spray that, but these have come out really nice. So I've just been using paint guides and reference material from photographs, and I've just painted these in. I'm going to distress them a little bit later to you know, scratch little bits up here and there, but hopefully I'll show you the grand unveiling. You see there I've masked off very accurately even into the little sort of square divots that you have there. There we go. It's alright, there's a little bit of damage under there which will need repainting, but the actual way the panels are painted and the way the little nooks and crannies go in, I'm quite pleased with. It's all about the preparation, it's all about the masking, and masking neatly and accurately as far as possible. There you see, so the 2 little white bits there where the paint hasn't gone, and there'll be 3 up here, these little three little strips here. 1, 2, 3, and then when we take all this off, that should hopefully look okay. So there we go. So I wonder if it's dry enough to take this off yet. I don't think it is. I think this is going to need, because this was brush painted, this is going to need a little more time to dry, and it's going to need a little more clean up as well, a little bit of just sort of scraping around the edge. But this shows you what the how much better the effect is when you can spray. I use an airbrush generally when it's working. It's a bit cold and damp for at the moment, so this was actually just out of a rattle can. This is just the grey surface primer which I've been using all along on all my models, but it pretty much is the right grey for the panels on the Vulcan, because as I explained earlier, I think the whole idea of this is these are supposed to look like replacement panels that are perhaps primed but not painted with the right colour for the ship, so we shall see. Anyway, that's it for now. I shall talk to you later. Bye. Okay, it's just a few panels done. I've done the red ones, not so good, they were done by hand, but I've cleaned them up as best I can. And these were sprayed, which obviously look better. So it's begun some final detailing, which is what I've been looking forward to for a long time. Anyway, there we go. I think that really is it for this issue now. This is just at the end of issue 48. I'm just going back and doing a few little bits and pieces, but I'm going to cut all this into a video now and it'll be up on YouTube soon. See you all again. Hope it's been helpful. Bye.